is my stream always scuffed? Why? Did I turn on my music again? I did. Why is my stream so scuffed all the time? Hello. Alright. We're gonna move in today. We're gonna move into the cave. I didn't take my meds this morning. I just realized that. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so this is I worked on this a little bit yesterday. This is my portal area. It's gonna sort of be like the main hub, I think, of the area. So hello, Sunny. So I deepened this a little bit to make sure the axolotls had enough room because they were popping up on the side, and I didn't want them to like escape. At least over this way. I believe they can still get onto this platform. Sorry. I believe they can still get onto this platform, which does concern me a little bit. But I want to put fences here. Maybe I should do that now. If I have the materials. I do not. So yeah, we can get materials, because I can grow some of these azaleas and chop them down. Just go somewhere I don't really care about. Oh, there's one already here. Come on. This worked yesterday. I clicked it once accidentally and it worked. Come on. It's not bright enough? Like what? Alright, that's fine. Gotta get some fences so my axolotls cannot escape and die. I would like for them to not die. That would be nice. No, my bone meal! Damn it. Okay, well. That's fine. Stupid glow squid. I wanted the cute axolotls, not the silly glow squid. Glow squid aren't bad, I just... let's take half of these. Let's do that. And then we can make some fences. Okay. And this way we can keep the axolotls from jumping out here. Keep them safe. No, I need more fences! Okay. Let's go. Let's go up. And we'll get more wood. Out of the cave. So I have to keep my axolotl safe. I have to keep Sunny safe. She's my child. I was gonna say she's my son. That works. She's my son. I love her. my son. That's funny. I like that. My non-binary axolotl child. Oh man. That is too far away, my ass. Jump! Alright, wait for all the... Oh, hello. Yeah, we gotta light this area up. we gotta light this area up. It's kind of like go around adding some torches here. Anywhere that mobs could spawn. Potentially. And then maybe eventually we'll make it pretty. Really, I just need it to be functional. I need there to not be a bunch of mobs here all the time. Okay. This should be better, and then we'll see at night how it does. There's a ton of coal here, so I can get more. Okay. Don't forget your allergy meds, kids. Like there are children that watch my stream. There better not be any children here. This is not the right stream for you. I know it looks like it, but it's not. Gotta go somewhere else. No, no children. No children. It's not even PG-13. You should not be reading the chat. I can be PG-13. Chat, not so much. Chat, not so much. No, cow. Okay. Plus, we play Baldur's Gate here, so... Baldur's Gate is not child-friendly. No under 18s in my chat. Thank you. Also, children are annoying. Just straight up annoying. Don't want to deal with them. I am not a responsible adult. I am not a good role model. I exist. And that's about it. Some more coal. I should probably take a break and take my meds, but like I just started stream, so I don't want to. Don't be me. Once again, not a good role model. I am a shitty role model. Do not look up to me. I am short. Can't look up to me. Can't do it. Too short. Alrighty. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that when there's more people in chat. I had an experience yesterday. I had something happen that was very dumb on my part. very silly. Very, 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 very silly. Derogatory. But I'll talk about that when there's more people here, because truly I should have known better. truly I should have known better. Okay. Right. Fence for the axolotl. Make a couple of gates too, actually. I need 4 gates. Look at that, 4 gates. Alright, anyways. Okay. Oak fence. Make oak fence. The gate is to make sure the axolotl doesn't get into the portal. Do I want it like that? No. I want it one forward. Like that. Okay. And then I can build this fence. That. I mean, I can't truly protect the axolotl. From all harm. I'll see what I want to do with that fence, because I still want to be able to walk around. I still want to be able to, like... I still want to be able to, like, walk around. Without being too hindered. And I want to have these platforms here, and these are gonna go to little like buildings in the wall. I think I want my storage on this side, so that's what I'm gonna start with. So we're gonna have the door here, and we're gonna have it open up. Probably need a little hallway or something. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing for decoration yet. And I don't know how tall I can make this. I'm gonna try building this room kind of organically. And by that I mean I want to follow the shape of the moss. At least on the ceiling here. Like there's just kind of a hole here. Right? Oh, which pickaxe am I using? Yeah, I'm using the right one. Okay. Because I want the stone for building. just, yeah. I'm gonna need to go, like, hit up the Skelly farm. Or something. Alright. So I'm gonna make this... See, that's why I want the stone. Yeah, we'll see, we'll see. I'm just kind of guessing, and I'm just gonna kind of build until I think it looks good. Is that big enough? That's gotta be big enough for storage. How many blocks is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go one more. And yeah, again, I'm gonna try to like follow the moss a little bit here. And we'll see what we get out of that. Maybe I'll round it off at the ceiling. Ooh, hello. Oh wait, I need my other pickaxe. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Uh-oh. I hear Zambos. I would like to not hear Zambos, actually. It would be nice if I didn't hear those. Because I'd like to build this room with no zombies, please. No zombies. This is a no zombie zone. I have no idea what shape this room's gonna be, and I kind of like that. I kind of like that I don't know. I don't quite know what I'm doing with it. I think whatever I do with it, I want to add moss to the ceiling, because I really like how this looks. With the moss on the ceiling. And I kind of want to keep things pretty natural, but I want to also add wood accents. And maybe switch out the diorite, because it's kind of ugly. Maybe I'll just switch that diorite to stone. And I'll probably do something fancy on the floor, like with wood. Because I think that would look pretty cozy. So we have 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And that's kind of the depth that I think I want. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I ran out of torches. Whoops. There we go, more torches. Okay, and then I can kind of do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. And I hear the zombies behind me. That's okay. Okay, now I kind of have a square room shape that I can start to, like, shape. But I have, like, a basic idea of what I'm doing. Honestly, the vibrant visual shaders, like, look really good. Okay, I'm gonna open this to the moss, and then I'll just add more moss on the outside. Cause I kinda like, I don't know, I like it. I like it. It's like natural and fun. Moss ceiling. Oh no. I see. Alright. Okay, get up there. Yeah, I'm not sure how tall I want these ceilings to be. It's definitely not that tall. Definitely not that tall. That's a little too tall. I like this sort of vibe. We'll see, like, how much moss I have and stuff. I may need to get more bone meal as well. Just so I can grow more moss. But I want to get this, I like this shape here. Sort of like natural shape. So. It's already warm. Okay. These I can pick back up. They were just here to help me with the gravel. Yeah. Okay, let me go back up here and just fill in the holes that are up here. Whoops. What? I thought I had moss. There we go. Do I not have moss blocks? Oh no, I do. They're just in my chest. Okay. Yeah, cause like here, I don't know what to do with this. It looks like I need to stop about here. So I'll kind of do that to remind me that there's a bunch of gravel here. Okay, are there any other holes? Yeah, there. Okay. Yeah, so I need to stop about here because there's gravel above that. I should really take my meds. I keep thinking about that. I keep thinking, I should go take my meds. But I also don't really want to stop playing Minecraft. Don't be me. Don't be me. Don't be stupid. the wrong pickaxe. That's fine. I'm gonna give Satin a little break. I should have enough stone, and if I don't, then I can mine it. I can mine more stone when Satin is not orange. But Satin being an orange, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it when my tools are low on whatever, health? Durability. Health. Yes, my pickaxe health. It's not wrong. It's just not right either. Okay. Once they both get down, maybe I don't know, maybe I'll go visit Kenj's, skeleton farm. To help with that. I always feel bad, like, relying on other people, but it's a server, and it's a game. So, it's fine. Okay. Some iron in here. Good iron. Okay, for a second I didn't think I picked up that iron and I was like confused. Okay. Beep up, beep, beep up, beep, beep up, beep, beep up, beep up. We have reached the No Thoughts Head Empty portion of our stream in record time. In absolute record time, we have reached the making noises instead of speaking portion of our stream. It's probably not record time. I bet I've done it faster than half an hour. Speedrun of me making a fool of myself. Every day, that is my life. I wake up, make a fool of myself. Get this juicy iron. A juicy iron. So the reason I'm building this out is so I don't end up with the same situation I had in my last starter home. Which was that my storage just ran out so fast. Just absolutely ran out entirely too fast. So that's what we're trying to avoid here by building this giant storage room. And hopefully it'll look good in the end. At least decent. I would like at least decent. That would be nice. You know? That'd be real nice. Do I not have... Oh, that's why. I don't have, Unbreaking on, I don't have Unbreaking on my Silk Touch pick. That's silly. Cause I was like, man, this is like doing way more than the other one. Okay. That's fine. I just need to be aware of that. I hate cave noises. Why did I choose to build in a cave if I hate cave noises? It's fine. I can live with the cave noises. I want to get a nice villager trading hall like Kenj has. But I think the way I want to do it is like give them each their own little house that I kind of lock them in, or at least like by category, right? So like the librarians are in the library, and like there's like a little smithy, right? Like that would be fun, I think. And like have a couple villagers per thing. I don't want to scare them with the zombies though. So I'll need to make sure that there are no mobs. So they don't keep like forming iron golems. You know? I don't know what the radius is that like they'll stop spawning golems. Hoi! Cause I don't want a bunch of golems in my village. If I can help it. Okay, so I think. So I really like that. So I want to kind of replicate it on this side, I think. Not like exactly, but. Oop. Okay, well, I can pick up some of this stuff on the ground here. We'll keep working on this, make it look nice. But just something similar to that, I think. And we can grow, I think we can grow the moss out as well. So yeah, I'm gonna have my portal here in my little Stonehenge thing. Okay. But yeah, again, this is why we need the storage. It's because this is what my storage looks like. So I need to. Sorry, I thought I muted. I need to get more wood. I think I want to make my storage. See, I'm deciding if I want to make it barrels, because I think barrels could look really cute. I think barrels could look really cute. Let's get some more moss. Let's find a place I can harvest some moss here. Because mostly I need this moss to keep it, you know, looking nice. But like over here, I think I'm gonna put a wall back here so that I don't have to deal with this. So I think this moss can come with me. I think I can harvest the moss over here. Let me just take all this tasty moss. I don't know why I'm using. I don't know if a shovel is like the tool to use. Maybe an axe. I don't know. I don't know that it matters. Yeah, because I really don't want to be dealing with all the darkness over here. At least not long term, right? Because I need all this moss. To get the moss, I need to deal with the darkness a little bit. I'm attacking the darkness. Yeah, because look at that. No, thank you. No, thank you, darkness. Can't get me, can you? I don't think so. Okay. Running away! With my moss. Man, it's a good thing Sunny's here to keep the glow squid population down. Dang, there's a lot of those guys. Okay, I got a good amount of moss. Some regular Sonia. I don't really want this to look like man-made, but I know it kind of probably will. So I'm just gonna try to avoid that as much as possible. I think that's good. I think I like that. I'm gonna see if I can get the ceiling a little more mossy. A little more round? Maybe? I knew that was coming. I also need to figure out how much gravel is on top of here. 'Cause there's kind of a lot. Is that all the... I hope that's all the gravel. I hear the glow squids dying, I think. Yeah. I like that. Okay. Okay, gotta get more moss. Where's another spot that, like, I don't mind taking moss from? Can I make moss blocks out of moss carpet? Can I craft moss? No. I can make mossy stone, but I can't. Cannot make moss blocks. I can take moss from here. Where else can I take moss from? There's some on the ceiling over here. So there's no gravel here. I can take some of the ceiling moss. Aha! What did I say about gravel? The bane of my existence. Why is there so much gravel over here? Dang. Okay. Got more moss. Probably I can get some more from here. Ah! The hell did you come from? I have this place so lit. It's so lit over here. It's fucking lit over here. Alright, whatever. It's fine. Everything's fine. Why can't I make moss blocks out of moss carpet? Can't you make wool out of carpet? Can't you, like, put it back together? Why can't you do the same thing with moss? Similar substance to wool. Three. 1, 2. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm liking the shape that I'm getting here. Just kind of. I gotta get up one more. Oh. Man. Freaking gravel. Okay. Please tell me there's not gravel right here. Oh, there is. That's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything is okay. Just have to dig all this gravel. Gotta dig all of this gravel. I don't know why I used the silk touch pick for that. It's fine. The moss ceiling of my dreams is nearly complete. No! Seriously? I need one more moss block? Okay, there's this random one in the ceiling here. I'll just use that. One moss block. Alright, there we go. Here it is. I need to get some lanterns. For now, this works. I need to get some lanterns. Congratulations on your Dunyan Rings meetings, Kenjamin. Welcome in. Alright, I have some smooth stone. Or non-cobbled stone. Black, remind me how the creation of the portals works. Do you need me to make the portal here? Cause I can move my old portal. To here. I'll put it right here. Unless that portal needs to stay for some reason. In which case I can leave it. Make the portal here. I'll take notes of the exact chords, make it corresponding one to another. Okay, cool. Fantastic. Need more chests. That's okay. Okay, barrels. Barrels look cute, but they don't have a lot of storage, is the problem. But they look cute. So I'm gonna use barrels. I wonder if I have, because I have to have wood in the other place. So barrels are the cutest option. I swear my stairs are here. Yeah, they're there. Well, where are my stairs? Looking right at them. Staring right at them. Yeah, I'm gonna see what time of day it is. I think it's bright out. Can only sleep at night. Yeah, I know. Okay, let's go this way. First things first, I think I want to bring over the obsidian from my old portal. Because doesn't need to be there. Does not need to be there. Doesn't need better. Doesn't need better. Those are words. Absolutely words. Cannot tell me those are not words. Cannot convince me. Cannot change my mind. Oh, apparently my ears were clogged. I popped them. Got my breath. I'm out into the desert here. I left my minecart. I accidentally stole a minecart. I was gonna bring it back. And now I've left it. Dang it. I gotta go get it. Can't be leaving minecarts. Because I grabbed it to go back to the snow biome. And then I ended up not going back to the snow biome. So that's what happened there. But I am not a thief. Hey. Don't get stuck on walls. Getting stuck on walls is for losers. Or something. Oh yeah, I said I was gonna talk about this when I had more people in the chat. Now there's more people in the chat. Yesterday I discovered that the college semester that I wanted to start taking classes in started on the 18th. It's now the 21st. I was not signed up for classes or anything. Just I didn't get my shit together in time. I was talking to my therapist and I looked at it. And it's like, oh yeah, it started on the 18th. And I was like, oh. I think I can still like get signed up for classes but it's gonna be a rush for me, so I'm gonna get very overwhelmed. Yeah, that'll be fun. So I have to figure that out. And probably start classes before any accommodations or anything are in place, or finding out anything about the course I'm about to take. I was gonna talk to a counselor to make sure I was prepared, and now I can't. I don't know if I have time to do that, and I can't even do it before next week because I'm still technically testing positive for COVID, even though I have basically no symptoms anymore. And I'm so frustrated. And that probably won't stop happening until Sunday. Because the guesstimate is 10 days after your first positive test. So I don't even know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. And that annoys the crap out of me, to not know what's going on. I hate that. I hate not knowing. That's the worst feeling for me is not knowing. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very fun stuff. Great. We love that. Alright. Where are we going? We're going to the abandoned kingdom of fairy floss. Sorry, fairy floss. I wasn't feeling it. It was a fun idea, but the amount of colors and stuff that you put something on the church wall. It's on a chunk border and the painting keeps unloading. Oh no. Yeah, sculpture or something. What if... Oh, I don't know if that works in... I don't know if it works in Bedrock, but in Java Edition, there's a way to, like, pose armor stands. And I think it'd be really funny if you could pose an armor stand to look like, Jesus. I think that would be funny, like, on the cross. Dress it up like Steve. Minecraft church. Church of the craft. Yeah, I don't know how it works in Bedrock. I don't know how it works in Java either. There's some fucking wizards out there. But that way you don't have to make something ginormous, right? An upside down cross stained glass window. Ooh, that'd be pretty too. That'd be really pretty. Steve Christ is cracking me up a little bit. Stevis, he is risen. Yeah. So silly. Sorry, I'm still standing in the portal. Okay. My Halloween. Wait, if I break the portal, I can't go back through the portal. I didn't think that through. First of all, I need some wood. I don't know if I want to use dark oak. Oops. Want me to break it? No, I can break it. This is the other reason I'm done with the snow biome. Yeah, I'll get some obsidian another way. I have to wait. I have to wait for daytime. Cause they stupid strays. It's part of the loop, so maybe I'll do something with the spot. I don't know. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I have some obsidian I can use, but I honestly can't remember where I put it. No. I'll get some. I'm in a cave. I can get some obsidian. Thank you, Genj. It is part of the rail loop. We can do something cool here. we can put a vacation lodge or something. Come on. Ah! I fucking hate these guys. I hate them. I also hate that I can't put this in my offhand. Why? Let me do it. Let me put it in my offhand. It doesn't even have to be able to be usable in my offhand. Literally just let me put it there so I can get mending on it. That's the only thing I want. can kind of see. I can kind of see there. Okay, well, I'm just sitting here. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go grab my meds. Okay. Come on. Please pass. How is it still nighttime? Ah! It's kind of a good idea to just go out here and, like, fight them? To get the XP? Because I can kind of get XP from that, but, like, I don't know. Okay. What do I have in here? Ooh, spruce door. Definitely want that. Spruce saplings. I'll take all of this eventually, but I just want stuff that, like, I'll actually use right now. So many crafting tables. Every single chest has a crafting table. Why? Started freaking out. Oh, hello. I have to take my dog with me, obviously. Can't do that until daytime. Almost there. Almost there. Almost there, buddy. How do I take my dog with me? I guess we'll just have to walk the line. We'll just have to walk through the railway. Yeah, puppers move too, and anyone who thought differently is wrong. Ooh, cool. It teleports. If I am on the rail, it teleports. Puppers are magical. Puppers are magical. In real life too. It's different kind of magic, but still magic. Okay. Because I know sometimes if you go too fast, like, they don't teleport. And that concerns me. This is Bug Rock after all. I think for safety I'll just walk. We'll see. We'll see. Come on. I want to hear the skeletons burning, please. That's right. Okay. I think it's safe. Do I have any meat? I know they can eat rotten flesh, but that seems cruel. Take these lanterns. I'm gonna take the doors. Take the sticks. Okay. Come on, Papa. Okay. Potato. I don't see anything in here that I like necessarily need. Oh yeah, Kenj, I have a ton of stained glass if you want some of my stained glass. Please, please feel free to take it. It's in here. Okay, let's see if the puppo will follow me through into hell. Through hell and back, right, Bubba? Come on. There you are. Okay. We're gonna walk. We're gonna walk to Weirdwood. Yeah, absolutely. I may move that stained glass at some point, but yeah, any stained glass you want, feel free to grab. Come on. For a second, I didn't see my dog, and I got nervous. That's why I was so quiet, as I was like, where's my dog? Where's my dog? It's fine. He's coming. Should get a name tag for him. I don't have a name for him. He's my little guy. He's my little buddy. Come on, little buddy. We gotta get to Weirdwood before it's nighttime. Hopefully. Scrubbly? Are you Scrubbly? Oh, no. Oh, thank God. I thought he was trapped behind the glass. I was gonna be real upset. Okay. Let's go. Let's go, Scrubbly. I don't know if that's gonna stick, but for now, it's a name. Probably will stick, too. Mangrove Keep. keep going. He's like, I'm coming. Oh god. No! Don't hurt my dog! Uh-oh. We may have a problem in Weirdwood. No, no, no. My dog! My dog! You okay? Okay. Okay. Dog is okay. That's all that matters. Tail's a little low. I know, I gotta get bro some meats. Go find a cow or something. Hey, come in, Bubba. Alright, I think there's cows around. We'll get him home. And I can figure out how to feed him once he's safe. Because I don't think there shouldn't be. Is that the right one? Yeah. There shouldn't be anything here that will harm him until we get home. I think. I think if my dog had died, I would have just ended the stream right there. I'd just be like, nope, not playing anymore. My mom would be like, oh, you ended your stream early. I'd be like, my dog died. She's like, what? Reasonable. Realizing how dangerous the staircase is for my son. Okay. Boy. Alright, come in here. You get wet? Alright. You stay right here. Yeah, good boy. Okay. Need to build a bunch of barrels. A lot of barrels. Alright, cool. We got 2 stacks of barrels. And I'm just gonna line them up. Kinda like this. I'm gonna do a line. Like this. And I think I'll leave the ends open. Maybe by 2. So we can kind of have almost like wine caskets. Right? Casks? It's probably not casket. I think it's casks. You know what I mean, though. Like this. Yeah, cask. You know what I meant, though. Yeah, on the back, we'll do them like this. Oh, this room is not even. Need one more this way. A casket is for dead people, but those words are very similar, so my brain just... Caskets for dead grapes! Yeah, true. How could I be so foolish? That's funny. Caskets for dead grapes is good. Right, I just need one more. We'll see what I'll do with this. Little bit of lag. That's fine. Not exactly sure what I'm doing with the ceiling over here, but it'll be fine. Okay. Yeah, like this. So it kind of looks like a pile. Maybe this can be forward too. Like that. No, I like this. I like the side. I like it on it. I like it on the side. We'll do it over here too. Yeah. I like that. Okay. I might make these ones one taller. So again, I might be like double layered. Yeah. I like this. I like this a lot. Okay. And then... Oh. Oh, that's terrible. Why? Why don't they line up? Who did this? Why you gotta have words? I have some words for you. What the fuck is this? Oh, man. Man. I'm so sorry, chat. I'm so sorry. I too am just now discovering this. Horrible. I'm not helping. I'm putting it 2 wide on a 3 wide. It's fine. It's fine. It has character. Don't think about it. Okay, look, Kenj. Look, Kenj, I'll show you. It's this. Yeah. Yeah. Mojang, who did it? Who did it? Who did it? And why? Anyways, we now have our storage. Yay! So we can start organizing this. You would think they would put a little more effort into their repeating patterns. Yeah, no. So, what do I want to do? I want to put extra barrels in here. I need to make some signs, but I think I used all my wood to make barrels. That's fine. Let's see. We have extra barrels here. We're gonna put moss and moss-related things in here. And then for the time being, I'm just gonna throw stuff in here. Right, I have my little lanterns now. I'll put these around. There we go. That helps. That helps a little bit. I think this is bothering me. It's just like a little bit too low. Yeah. Nope. Nope. Okay. Cool. It's a little flat here now, but that can be fixed. Okay. Let's go find some... let's go find some obsidian. How many do I need? I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. 10 bits of obsidian. And then we gotta find our way back here, so... be careful. I'm gonna pick a direction and stick with it. Thank you, Sunny. Is that a blue one? A blue one. Oh, the blue one's gonna despawn because I don't have any more name tags. That's okay. That's okay. We'll get another blue one. I gotta get some name tags and just like keep them around. Okay. My direction is positive that last number. I think it's Y. Oh, look. Lava. I could just take this lava and make my own obsidian. Hang on, where's my... I need a bucket. I need bucket. No, I got a bucket. I got many bucket. Obsidian is flowing water on stagnant lava, I think. Yeah, that sounds right. So, if we can't find any obsidian, which maybe there's some down here. Where's the source of this water? Where's the source of this water? There we go. And then... another lava source here. Okay. Oh, I threw a torch. Whoops. Gotta stop doing that. I gotta stop throwing things. Is there any... Blackwood joined the realm! Yatta! I think because this lava was flowing, there won't be any here. Okay, well... Can I make a infinite lava source? Doesn't look like it. You can do it in Java. I'm pretty sure you can do it in Java. I may have some cyan. You're welcome to go look. It's in the it's in the chest outside of my station. Oh, right, dripstone into a cauldron. I forgot you could do that. That might work. And if there's some in like the ceiling or the windows, if you have silk touch, you can go ahead and mine that too. I'm not sure if I have cyan, but if I do, then just go ahead. It takes a minute. You should probably get like a lot of cauldrons. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do that. It's a solution. I don't know if it's the one I want to use. Where? Sorry, I'm missing something. That is usually on my desk, and now it's not on my desk. The heck? Should make it a lava farm. Ken's just gonna be the the farmer of the server. Ken is like, you want it? Okay, here. Oh gosh. Hello. Can you not currently? I thought I was in a fairly safe spot. Turns out slimes. Okay. No, it's great. Especially because I am someone who like I like having stuff, but I don't like doing I don't like doing the work to get the stuff oftentimes, so I don't know, it's kind of nice. So I'm like, I need this thing. It's so much work to get that thing. Usually I have my dad for that. I started building a shulker farm. That's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be so cool. Okay. There's more lava. More lava this way. It's the baby slime. Boink. I want to build. I don't want to grind. Yeah, exactly. I don't think I can get to that source. No, I will not have death by slimes. Death by slimes is so embarrassing. Trying to gather the XP into my pickaxe. I do have a staircase in this cave as an easier way out if you need it. Oh, cool. If I find it. If I find it. I just need... Find your little shelter. I just need some obsidian. If you keep going, the cave ends, and the staircase is there. Oh, okay, cool. I see you. gotten this sword from Bleck, because this sword is too good for me to have. Oh, cave noises. I'm like, how do I have such a good sword? Probably the people who are cooler than me. Hey, look, diamonds! Yeah. Alright, is it just one? Whoa. Okay. 2. There's gravel. I don't have my shovel on me for some reason. That's what I thought. Dumb fucking gravel. Whoa. That's a lot of 5? 10 diamonds! Let's fucking go! That's good. That's good. It's just, it was underneath the iron. When I was a kid, I don't know if I've said this before. When I was a kid, I thought that whenever you were mining in Minecraft, if you followed the ore, you would find more ore. Like ore was all clustered together somehow. Which is not how it works. So, but when I was a kid, that's how I thought it worked. So I would just like constantly be like, I would find a bit of ore and then I would pick a direction from that ore and I would keep going. So my like mines, my strip mines looked crazy. The same thing. Yeah. Like my strip mines look really dumb. Why are you following me? Go away. I don't want you here. Remember how I said I was gonna pick a direction and go in that direction? So I didn't get lost? That didn't happen. Uh-oh. Okay, we're not going that way. Nope, 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 nope. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, no, no deep dark for me. No deep dark for me. These slimes are so annoying. Go away. Okay. Well, I have lava. That's a start. That's fine. Because the deep dark doesn't grow up. So as long as I stay in my little area, I should be fine. Okay, I just gotta collect a bunch of iron. Deep dark is like Neverland. Yeah. Hey! Bitch. Where'd you come from? How long were you following me? Ooh. Good luck with that. So many glow squid things. Okay. Get a couple furnaces. Let me like make this into also like a little crafting room. Like back here. I'll take a few of these back a little bit. So we can have like a little like crafting area back here. Excuse me, puppy. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Okay, there we go. The squid death. I hear it. Alright, now I can cook up all this iron. I don't think I have any dripstone on me. Sunny, get back in your pool. Yeah, get in your pool. What are you doing? Silly. A little protection. Because I don't want it to feel like... I don't want it to feel like too closed off. But I also really don't want Sunny to be able to escape. And like die. That would be bad. I don't know. I don't like it. We'll just have to hope. So far, it's been mostly okay. Sunny. I think it's this. I think that's how she keeps getting out. So I can't have anything. Yeah. Alright. Okay. Do that. Yeah. So I think she's safe now. Stupid glow squids. There's so many of them. Okay. Let's see. Cauldrons. I can make 5 cauldrons. Okay, buddy, can you come here? Come here. Come on. Okay, sit there. I'm gonna do 3. Yeah, that works. Okay, and then I need like a dripstone above it. Okay. Let's go see if I have any dripstone in my other house. Let's go see. Because I feel like this is going to be the easiest way to do this. Instead of me just like wandering around aimlessly. And then I can get other stuff done as well. While I'm doing that. Bing, bing, bong. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Minecraft music is so calming and nice. Makes me eepy. Thought I was missing my pickaxe. Yeah, music is so relaxing. Until it isn't. Yeah. This song is really nice, and then sometimes they're like really loud for no reason. Oops, I left the front door of the church open. Uh-oh. I didn't do anything. Leave me alone. There's pigs all over Weirdwood's portal. So many pigs. It does not make sense to me that the piglins get mad if you're not wearing gold. Like, they love gold. Why would they want you to have gold? Or do they just like, is it just like because you're an outsider? Like what? Fuzz just won't leave me alone. They know that they know that there's something weird going on in your church. You're an outsider. You're wearing gold, you must be like us. I don't know. It seems dumb though. Seems silly. The fact that you can trade with them is very funny, yeah. I do like that you can, I like that you can trade with them. Okay. Let's go get... Do I have any... I don't see any cyan. I may not have any cyan. I do have some plain glass though if you want that. And I'm pretty sure I have some cyan dye. Yes, dripstone! Okay. Anything else? Yeah, let's see. I think I can you make it with lime dye, or is it just... Yeah, but can you make it with lime dye is the question. No. I thought I had some green. Oh, emeralds. Oh, obsidian! Yeah, I have some cactus. And I have some blue. Yeah. So I can totally get, any more sand? Oh, a little bit of sand. Sandstone. Sand. So yeah, I can hook you up with the cyan dye. And the glass. I can get you some stained glass. I don't know what to do with all the sheep. They may just have to stay here. Maybe I'll make a wool factory or something. So. Did have some dripstone. That's good. Back over to Beardwood. Wool farms are fun and easy to make. I feel like I'll have to make it in the snow biome because I don't know how to move that many sheep. It would take a very long process, I think. Alright, time to go get attacked by pigs again. It's like Garangoth Thorm over here. I think that's her name. The frickin' toll collector. A Moonflower had some wool farm ideas, but didn't want to move them. And The nether wasn't even part of that one. Yeah. Yeah. Loading, loading, loading. Okay. Hmm. Is there a bed over here? Nope. Okay. Can I... We're just gonna book it. Just run. It's bed in the opposite room. Well, it's fine. We're just gonna run. Oh gosh, what was that? Don't even want to know. It's okay. Dang, chat lag. Can't you see Ken's just trying to be helpful here? Need to make some lampposts. I haven't found a design I like. Yeah. Well, that's pretty. Oh, there's a ton of dripstone in here. It's okay. I think I have... Yeah, I have plenty. It's cool. You got kind of like all the cave biomes right here. That's kind of fun. There's a trader here. That's so funny. What's he doing here? Hello. You know, this isn't really a place for, like, llamas. What do you have? Nothing good. Rather, nothing that I need. Where's the stairs? I think they're up here. There we go. See, this is one of those ones that's like really loud for no reason. I need to make some kind of a path. Hi, Sunny. I don't know if this looks good, but if it'll keep Sunny from escaping. I don't know. Alright. So I need... Does moss burn? It probably does, huh? It probably burns. That's okay. have my moss. Okay. So I need... like that. Wait, no. The dripstone needs to be... here? Okay, I think like that. And then I'm gonna... just... yeah. Ow. Okay. Yeah. Now we'll make this pretty. Okay. Yeah. Okay, like that. Now I could put my lava. I'll put it like this. And then that should drip, right? Yeah. Okay, so that'll take a while. In the meantime, we'll do this side. Okay. I need a source block in the middle too. Yeah, but I don't have enough lava for that right now. Nah, you're good. You're being very helpful. I like it. Okay. So that should be all ready to go when I have more lava. And we'll see how that works. Oh, it seems to have filled out. Is middle one dripping? I don't think the middle one is dripping. Oh, no, it is! Yeah! Nice. Okay, those are all three of those are filling. Okay. There we go. I think that looks good. It made a source block. I think. It's not... Well, maybe it did make a source block. I don't know. Seems to be working. I do not pretend to know the magic of Minecraft. I just do a thing and hope it works. Parkour. What's my moss? Give me my moss. Give me my moss. I think I heard a zombie villager. No, I appreciate a know-it-all. I honestly do appreciate a know-it-all. Okay, all of this is done, so I can throw some of this in there. I'll save the rest of it. Cactus? I don't know. Alright. Put sand in the other one. Cool. These end ones are just gonna be my, like, junk. Considering I need a clear inventory to have a clear head. But only these end ones here. Because the rest of them I need to organize so that this doesn't happen. But I need that, and I need that. Alright, but this is looking pretty nice so far. Let me get some water here. There's a carpet down here? Why? Okay, there's not another carpet, is there? There we go. Alright, that's probably fine. Alright. That's gonna look so cool. That's gonna look so cool. I need 3 more. Yeah, these do take forever. Can I take one of these and have it still work? Yeah! It still works. Cool. I'm gonna do this differently. I'm just gonna grab... Ooh! Didn't need that. What? I guess because I put it right on top of it. Okay. Alright, fine. Whatever. stack of cyan stained glass. They're right here. Okay. I guess we could dig out the other room in the meantime. Oh man. That sucks so bad. I was right there with you. Just a couple days ago. It is not a fun experience. Okay, this one's gonna be like my house. Again, I really want to like follow the moss. I don't want to do this right now. I don't want to do this right now. I'm bored. I'm bored of digging. I'm tired of this, Grandpa. It's too damn bad. You keep digging. Just gonna stare at this. Gonna stare at it until it fills. I should look up how long it takes. How long does it take to fill a cauldron with lava in bedrock? 19 minutes. It takes like 20 minutes. Huh. Yeah. 20 minutes. For dripstone to fill a bucket with lava. Takes a while. Well, and I have to stay in the area because otherwise it won't load, right? So, Her. Oh, my glass is done. Her. Do I have any gold? Probably good to... I have a golden helmet right here. Probably good to have some. Just around. I should use these diamonds that I got. Because I don't have any boots or a helmet. So I can make some boots. I can make a helmet. There we to go. I have one damn one left. I saw a TikTok the other day, or like a short, whatever. That was like, I didn't realize that it's possible that it was not the boots that had fur. And I was like, oh, I didn't think about that either. Huh. I always thought they were like Uggs or something. I don't know. Okay, this is it's so nice in here. A song about werewolves. Well, cause it was like a short of someone, and they were wearing boots and like a fur jacket. And someone in the comments was like, and they used that song. And someone in the comments was like, wait, was it not the boots that had fur? It was very funny. They seemed very concerned about it as well, which made me laugh. They seem like very concerned that it may not have been the boots that had the fur. A fur coat in the club would be horrendously hot. So would Uggs, though. Uggs are for cold weather. They're for cold beaches. They're beach shoes. They're for surfers when they're done surfing. To not like get hypothermia. It has nothing to do with anything. It's not like winter wear. Well, like it is, but like they were made for beaches. Huh. I need more spruce. And there needs to be more moss over here. There's like not a lot of moss there. Let's fix that. Bone meal to the rescue! More moss! Not in here. I mean, in here, sure, but like... More moss. Coworker informed me that Uggs are also great for hiding. What? Was not expecting it from the person in question either. That's so funny. It's always people who you're like, oh, why do you know that? Were they a writer? That might be why. It's never the ones you think it is. Let me out of my inventory. Alright. That side's not as mossy. I might have to do something else. Cause like this side is like the perfect little hobbit hole here. Don't leave me. Where are you going? faster! What do you mean it hasn't been 20 minutes yet? I want my portal. It's so close. All right, let's see if we can go find some obsidian before my lava drips. There's a little bit of cave this way. Look at all this iron. Some good iron. Don't have to steal Kenju's iron anymore. Get my own iron. I don't have any torches on me. That's gonna be fun. Never mind. I don't want to deal with it. You know what? Okay, now that loud ass siren is gone, I really should close my windows when I stream. Especially because my microphone is now a little more sensitive. I have more iron than I know what to do with. I know, and I still feel bad for taking it. Like, it's literally, like, the only thing that I've really, like, taken from you is basically infinite resources, and yet I still feel bad about it. So that's what it's like inside my brain. It's fun. It's great. I love it here. See, you say that, but my brain says otherwise. My brain hates me. Is really what's happening. Can I silk touch vines? Nope. Cannot silk touch vines. I need to get some shears, I think. Neurodivergent ruminating is fun. Yeah. Well, because especially, like, if you know that you're not good with social cues and stuff, and, like, my brain's like, well, what if they're just saying that? And you're just supposed to infer that it's actually not okay, and, like that bullshit. Because neurotypical people have taught us that we know nothing, and that we are terrible. Oh, more lava! Gimme that. Yoink. Out of torches again. Is that water there? How am I gonna get back up, though? The vine? Is that water there? Do I risk it? I know. No, I can't clutch that. But there was water right here. Haha. Don't risk it. Too late. I did it, and I won. It's fine. I knew there was water there, definitely. I knew that. Wasn't just guessing, of course. Not me. Oh, that's cozy. Cozy little space. That's fine. If I died, I just lose, you know, like all of this stuff in my inventory. I can't see anything. Alright, let's get back up there. I don't wanna be in the dark anymore. And that's why I don't want to be in the dark anymore. I'm fully kitted out. I'm fully kitted out. There's literally nothing that I really don't need to worry that much. And yet. Hey, I thought I could climb that. Can I not climb the... Oh, that's not really what I meant to do, but that's fine. That works. I have 2 buckets of lava. If I don't fuck it up, I think that's all I need. Maybe I needed 3? It might be 3. Yeah, it's 3. That's fine. Yeah, perfect. God, I just need one more. I just need one more. No. Alright, let's keep exploring. Explored that way. We'll keep exploring this way, maybe. Go like this way. A little bit. Maybe I'll be lucky and the iron will lead me to diamonds again. Just iron. Iron. Where am I going? Here. Nothing really up there. Should have grabbed some more torches. That would have been smart. I guess I'm looking for a light source, though, so... It's fine. This is where it was a second ago, wasn't it? I don't know. I'm just wandering. Just wandering around. Taking a look-see. How has it not been 20 minutes? And there's like no progress. No progress at all. Look at all this iron. I'll take this iron. I will go see. Maybe I could get a name tag. We'll get a name tag for my puppy from the mall. Go to the mall. Do some shopping. I had some other emeralds in here. Yeah, there they are. See, I have even more iron. Let me just like smelt up all of the iron I have, and then we can go do some shopping. Yeah, I think this is all of it. Because I have a ton of iron, apparently. Okay. I have a very sleepy day today. It's a very sleepy day. It's warm. It's warm today. $75. Which is I don't know how to translate. Will it tell me? Can I see what it is in so I heard a witch. I don't like that. I don't like that sound. I heard a witch. And not the good kind. With cool spells. The mean kind that throws potions at you. Not good potions either. They hurt. Not to mention the broken glass. I thought I had a cheek buff. Maybe it's not working for some reason. I probably didn't set up the physics properly. That's probably it. Come on. Drip faster! Dripstone! Alright, let's go shopping. It's nighttime. I need to build an easier way out. At least it's more lit up over here. So it's not like crawling with baddies. So I can take a little nap. Oh, you're still here, are you? Let's go to the mall. Gotta take a trip into town. Still need a good name. Need a good name for my kingdom. Maybe what I'll do is when we come back from the mall, if we're still waiting on that lava, I'll take a look at like fantasy name generators. And we'll get a good like Goblin Town name from there. Cause they have some good names. Especially cause I'm right next to Weirdwood. Weirdwood's a great name. Alright. Whee! Hello. Let's get some spending money. Alright, there's one more guy. Right here. Oh, do I not have enough? Oh, I only have one. Okay. Now let's see. Librarian's over here. Should probably put mending on my armor as well. But right now, I'm gonna get 2 name tags. And we're gonna head back. And we're gonna give a name. We're gonna give a name to our dog. And then we're gonna have an extra one in case there is a blue axolotl. That's what I'm gonna save it for. I'm gonna save it for a blue axolotl. Because I really love the blue ones. They are part of, like, my color scheme. I love them a lot. I'm gonna check my ender chest real fast. That's right, I do have stuff in here. Okay. And I'm gonna take this back. Boing, 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 boing. And we'll look up. We'll figure out a good dog name. And we'll look up. What if I named my dog Warg? That'd be funny. Or Claw, like the Warg from Baldur's Gate. That's good. That's a good one. Kind of like that. Such a badass name for such a funny little guy. Could name him. I could name it Scratch. Yep, it's Scratch. His name is Scratch. I have to name him Scratch. He's a white dog. It's perfect. If we ever get another dog, like maybe one of the brown ones, we can name it Sniff. So they can be Scratch and Sniff, like the owl bear. Every time I come back, there's more freaking things in here. Oh yes, we got a lava. Yatta! Are my buckets in here? They're outside. I think they're outside. Oh, stop throwing things. Bucket, bucket, bucket. I'm actually going to take this and put it up here. That was dripping water. I wonder if there's water nearby. Okay. It needs to stop dripping, so it's just this one. Yeah, it's just where the source is, I think. And like for some reason it worked with 2 of them here. But that's fine. But now we have 2 going. So that's nice. Okay, let's make an anvil. There we go. We'll put it here. And we will name our dog Scratch. Yay, it's perfect. Good boy, Scratch. Alright, now let me move stuff so that this actually works. Because it's gonna do this. Okay. So we can have a little boop. Give a little boop to Scratch. Let me see. Fantasy name generator goblin town. I'm not interested in your Google AI. Get out of here. Sandwatch. Pretty funny. It's more. I feel like I should do a Hobbit town instead, though, because it's not as much as I like the idea that goblins live here. The vibe is more Hobbit than Goblin, like fantasy stereotypes wise. Hobbit town. Not Hobbit names, but like Hobbit town. Forest names? Mountain Alligator Woodland is one of the names. Move this over here so I can read chat at the same time, in case chat has any ideas. Mountain alligator woodland. You know some goblin names? They have to fit the vibe of the place, though. I mean, you're welcome to suggest funny things. Simple raspberry wilds. Cloud mouse wood. Collared rat woods. Let's see here. Private dogwood woodland. Giant tortoise wood. Alien woodland. Thick woodland. Crowned wallaby timberland. These are great, but all like not great. Like not great as names, but very funny. Alright, please let's see. I want like city and town names. Halfling town names, that's what I was looking for. Maplefront. Glimmerwell. Glimmerwell is not bad. Saving mode. Fill your cave with dogs and name it Barkwood Caverns. I like, that's not bad. That's, yeah, it's not a bad idea. Do they have to be specifically dogs, though? Because, like, axolotls are puppies, you know? River post. I guess there's not really a river in here, though. I have, like, a little pond. Timber bottom. Fall Hollow. Sunbreak. Sunbreak's not bad. Because I have that, like, skylight in there. Roseshire. Inmim. Inmim. Nettle Ridge. Water puppies, I accept that. Good, good. Pond End. Aw, that's too bad. Were they good? Was it a good little cafe? Night Point. Old Vale. Violet View. Lakemore. Hey, Animo Orte, how are you? They had large portions. Well, you know. Sometimes you just need a lot of food. Clovervale. Gomelen. We're, we are, trying to figure out the name of my Minecraft, kingdom right now. Which is why I'm saying weird names. How's my lava doing? Still dripping. Still dripping. Let's see. Elder Watch, Willow View. Hollow Mount. Hollow Mount's not bad. That's kind of fun. Stone Blossom. Stone Blossom fits pretty well. Lightview Glimmerwell. I like Glimmerwell. Great Bell. Elder Bottom. Pondhorn. Root Rim. Littleberg. Oakvale. Dewpost. Thorndrift. Pondale. Freegrove. Mintvale. Plumewell. Littleguard. Neverrim. Figshire. Sunvane. Sunvane's cool. Mosstar. T-Shadow. Vinemount. Birdvale. Sunpost. Starward. Honey Hollow. Springwater, Mistvale. Sunrear. Whitvale. Fairbottom. Thorndale, Violet Light. Littleborn. Lakebrook. Lakebrook. Yes, my town is named Water. Lilyvale. Oakenham. I don't even like ham. Wild Blossom. Dew Watch. I have Glimmerwell on here twice. Somehow it generated it twice and I clicked it both times. I didn't even notice. Dew Watch. I like Dew. Root Rim is cool. Also, Dawnwood. Elder Break. And Melon. Anmeleln. And Meleln. That sounds like a keyboard smash. What about Sunwell? I kind of like Sunwell. Because it kind of have this like skylight here. This could be like the sun well. I wonder if I made that like a nice circle, and then that could be like a good entrance. I'm gonna have to mess with that. It's alright, flashbang. I forgot it did that in this version of the game. I forgot that taking a screenshot just meant the whole screen goes white. Yeah, I kind of like Sunwell. Yeah, I kind of like that. Theme is like goblin slash hobbit. And then I'm gonna put the cords. I'm gonna put the cords around where I was. Because that's like the town square there. But the entrance would be here. Around 214 25 404. Negative 2 214 25 404. Alright. Can I unpin this old one? I could delete it. I don't want to delete it. I just don't want it to be pinned anymore. It's okay. Someone else can do it. Alright. So that'll be I'm gonna work on that being like the entrance, I think. And now we have a name. And I'm gonna sit here and AFK for a while. Because we are now out of time. So I'm gonna AFK until I have a whole bunch of lava. And then hopefully next time I will have, my portal ready. So I will be back on Monday, with probably some art. I want to draw out some of the NPCs for my D&D game. Yeah. So that is Monday's plan. We're going to draw some D&D NPCs, and then probably next Wednesday will be more Minecraft. I'll probably do Minecraft until everybody's feeling better. And is no longer testing positive. And Thursdays, I have a little idea for Thursdays, and I'm not quite sure if it's gonna work, but maybe next Thursday we'll try that. So thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with me today. I really appreciate you all. And I will see you all on Monday for some art. Bye-bye!